Good morning, everyone. If you could take your seats, we're about ready to begin.
This is back in the, and then,
So good morning, Truckee. Good morning, Truckee. My name is Raven Whittington. I'm an attorney with Porter Simon Law Firm, and I'm a board member of the Truckee Chamber and be your MC this morning. As Jessica, the Chamber CEO, pointed out, this is the first time it hasn't snowed at a Good Morning Truckee in, I think, 6 months, or maybe 12 months, or maybe 3 years, it feels like. So, welcome, and we have a great presentation this morning from the Community Collaborative of Truckee Tahoe and other partners in our community report card. So somewhat of a unique presentation this morning. I'll get to that in a bit. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsors. The presenting sponsor is Kelly Brothers Painting. The latte sponsors are Town of Truckee, East River PR, Tahoe Forest Healthcare System, Tahoe Mountain Realty, Porter Simon, and our cappuccino sponsors, Pacific Crest Wealth Planning, Mountain Hardware and Sports, and the espresso sponsors, Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation, Got Dogs, JK Architecture and Engineering, Wild and Rough, Mount Lincoln Construction, Auerbach Engineering, Dixon Realty, Truckee Tahoe, NV5, and our media partners, Tahoe Truckee Media, 101.5, Truckee Tahoe Radio, Sierra Sun, and Moonshine Inc. And as always, we'd like to recognize the committee that puts this together. Jessica Penman, the chamber staff, Ruth, who's not here this morning, Melissa Williams, and Randy Braun, as well as Kelly Cutler, Naomi Peacock, Ernie Grossman, Gerald Herrick, Tony Lashbrook, Jim Porter, Deb Ryan, Ted Owens, Emily Vitus, and Jess Carr. And again, thanks to Rory in the back with Truckee Tahoe Media for making this possible and handling the AV, and to the town of Truckee for allowing us to be here and convene in their council chambers. So we'll do as we always do and go around the room and do introductions. Naomi, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I'm Naomi Peacock of Moonshine Inc. Kim Bradley, Tahoe Truckee Unified School District, Wellness Burger.
Ryan, Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation.
Stacy Caldwell, Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation.
Jan Holland, Lyft Workspace right across the street.
Louise Zabriskie, Friends of the Truckee Library, new library project.
No, I'm with Louise Zabriskie. My name's Bethany, and I'm also involved in the library project on the board.
I'm with Louise too.
We're all with Louise. It's leading us to the library.
Town Council and Nevada County Transportation Commission.
Let's go in the front, this table here, so we don't miss you.
Heather Schwartz with SOS Outreach.
Greg Zerbel, Truckee Cemetery District.
Jump up here.
Christina Kine, the Community Foundation. Allison Schwender, Community Foundation.
Harry, why don't we go with you?
Okay. Harry Weiss at Tahoe Forest Health System and Truckee Tahoe Workforce Housing Agency.
Robert D. McKelly, reasonably retired. And my message to grandparents today is if you have kids that go swimming, life jackets. If I don't say that, I'm going to get in trouble with another group. So.
Right,
the
life
water's
jackets.
too damn cold right now. And going to be awesome.
Pastor David Gregory at Crosslands Truckee Church.
Gerald Harry, Truckee Fire Board.
Ted Owens, Tahoe Forest Health System and Chamber Board.
Go next.
Jamie Legary, Elements Mountain Company, but today we're opening up a coffee shop in the fall, and so we provided the caffeinated coffee today called Mountain Brew.
All right, thank you.
Grant Wiltshire, High West Law.
Anna Grahn Nielsen, Dixon Realty, Fleetgaman, Truckee Optimist Club.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris Tennant, Mount Lincoln Construction, and Capmore.
Lizzie Hennessy, Tahoe Forest Health System.
All the way in the back there.
Nancy Settle from Sierra Community House.
Jennifer Gallagher, JK Architecture Engineering, and new Chamber Ambassador.
Kat Rolfe, Truckee Tahoe Airport Board.
Maria Martin, Tahoe Forest Health System.
Ann Varick, Tahoe Truckee Co-op with Connecting Point.
Logan Maloney, Principal of Truckee High School.
Kirsten Kramer, Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services.
Amber Burke with Tahoe Truckee Unified School District.
Thank you for all being here this morning. Did I forget anyone? Don't believe so. All right, so the presentation this morning is the Community Collaborative of Truckee Tahoe, which is a program of the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation. And it's here to highlight our regional economic well-being, health, and educational trends. Since 2007, the CCTT has produced a report card measuring community indicators that provide real-time data to inform the work of CCT partners, local agencies, and community-based organizations. After CCTT gives our report card update, we'll hear from the community organizations active in disaster, Sierra Community House, Tahoe Forest Health System, and the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District, who will highlight trends, new programs, and innovations coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of acronyms here. All right, so to start us off, and this is going to be a little different, so Allison Schwinder is going to do the entire presentation. We're going to hold questions, and around 8:20 or probably 8:15, we'll open it up to questions for all the people that have given a presentation this morning. Then we'll do stump speeches and everything else. So Allison is the Community Collaborative Director, and she's with the Truckee Tahoe Community Foundation. So Allison, please welcome her, and yeah, looking forward to the presentation.
All right, everyone. Well, good morning. I'm happy to be here with all of you and share our community report card. Thank you, Raven, for the introduction. And it's a bit of a tough sell presenting data for an hour, first thing in the morning. So I'm going to do my best not to make it too boring. And I'm really excited that our partners are here. So thank you again to our partners from the school district and from the hospital, Sierra Community House, and from the COAD to help bring some life to the data and really talk about the work that's happening on the ground with kids and families, and again, share some stories with you all. So again, that report card is hot off the press. We just completed it over the past week. And my goal today is I will share a high-level overview of the findings from the data. You'll again here have an opportunity to talk with the partners, and that we really hope that we all walk away with a little bit of a deeper understanding about what's happening with kids and families and older adults in our community, and that we have a deeper understanding of what's going well in our community and things that we need to focus on as a collective. So I'm going to do a very quick overview of who we are and what we do. So I know many of you are familiar with the Community Foundation, but we've been around for a little bit over 25 years, and we are one of 800 community foundations across the country. And really our goal is to match good people with good ideas to opportunities and resources on the ground to make good things happen. So very high level overview. But in that vein, we do a lot of different things. We grant money out to the community through a number of different grant cycles. We have an open competitive grant cycle. We also work in partnership with the Chamber as well as the airport to grant dollars out to the community. We are just wrapping up our scholarship program, and I'm super pleased to share that we scholarshiped almost $1.5 million. I'm looking at Phyllis for accuracy. Good. And I'm actually going to look at all of you for accuracy, because a lot of the data and numbers I'm sharing today really come from you all, so please check me at any point. So $1.5 million to 81 students, and we awarded scholarships to 37 first-gen recipients, which are students who are the first person in their family to go to college. So strong work to the community for contributing to our scholarship program, and thank you, school district and Phyllis, for sure. We are also home to a number of different initiatives. So we house our Forest Futures initiative, which is really geared towards protecting our community from catastrophic wildfire, rebuilding our forest economy, and investing in market-based solutions. We are home to our Mountain Housing Council, which is evolving to 3.0, which is really focused on achievable local housing. And then we are home to our Community Collaborative, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today. So our collaborative has been around in some shape or form for over 30 years. We are comprised of about 50 health, education, and social service organizations, and our goal is to really work together to address our community's most fundamental needs. And so many of you here are collaborative partners. And so again, thank you for being with us today. And we do a lot of different things as a collaborative to really support kids and families and our community in general. But one of the most important things that we do is that we really convene our partners to address our most complex issues, ensure that we're rowing in the same direction, and ensure that our partners are connected. So to that vein, we convene a lot of different meetings. We spend a lot of time talking about community issues. And as a result, the first iterations of the Mountain Housing Council, the first iterations of Sierra Community House, of our leadership program called On the Verge came from conversations at collaborative tables. Many in this room, like I will always remember when the Mountain Housing Council first started, we had a conversation about housing needs. We were sitting at like a triangle over there. And then our school district wellness center conversation and effort started at a conversation we had down the hall in the Donner Room. And it was about 2012. Now I'm fact-checking with you. And at the time, we were really seeing an increase in youth mental health needs. And the Youth Health Initiative was just getting going. And we were really strategizing as a community how we could provide more mental health services to students. And so we began to talk about, gosh, like, could we increase school-based mental health services? So our partner from the county said, hey, I have some innovation dollars from a county funding source that you could apply for to expand mental health services. Another partner said, hey, I have the capacity to write a grant. As a collaborative, we had the data to back up the need. And then fast forward 13 years, we now have well-established wellness center programs at all of our high schools, our middle schools, and some of our elementary schools, and which is really a gateway to all mental health services. So I think it's what we do best as a collaborative and really as a community, is that we bring our partners together, we listen to each other, we listen to the stories, we look at the data, and then we move solutions forward. So again, all these programs and projects that are now institutionalized have come out of conversations, again, with our collaborative partners and many in this room. So with that, and really underscoring the need to collect data, we have been producing a community report card since 2007, and we produced the report card for a number of different reasons. But one, we really want to provide a data snapshot on how we're doing at any moment in time, and like I said, provide data to our community to help drive solutions forward. So we, for the last several years, have adopted a framework that really helps us understand what makes a healthy community. And we measure data in all the different factors that comprise a healthy community. So for those of you that are into frameworks, it's called the Social Determinants of Health. And so thank you to our hospital colleagues for helping us more deeply understand the social determinants of health and how to apply it to our report card. But we know that there's a lot of different factors that impact individual health and community health. So our health depends on where we live, the neighborhoods that we grow up in. Do we have access to fresh foods at the grocery store? Do we have access to quality early child care? Do we have access to good education? So as a collaborative and as a collective group of partners, we look at data in all those different areas. And we again say, hey, like, where are we doing well as a community and where do we need to focus effort? And so our goal today is to share that data with you. And over the next several months, we'll be sharing this data with other community groups and with our collaborative partners to really better understand some of the nuances to the data. So before I launch into the actual report card, I just want to share a few kind of caveats. So the report card is compiled from information from 12 different data sets. So there's a bit of a complexity to the data. Some of our reports are produced on an annual basis. Some are produced every 5 years. We pull from some census data that's produced every 10 years. So I'm really looking for a different name, but we, as the foundation, we kind of call it the sausage making. So if anyone has any ideas about how to say it differently, please let me know. But again, we compile all this different data to try to share it with you in a clear, concise way. A couple other things about the data. We look at data and trend lines over time. And so again, it's a way to tell if we're making community change, if we're making community impact, and where we need to focus efforts. So we've been looking at some data points since 2007. We disaggregate the data as much as possible. So we disaggregate data by gender, ethnicity, race, age, in any other way we can, depending on where the data is coming from. And then the caveat is also that there's a limitation to data. So it's really important to understand the stories behind the data. So for example, one of the things that we know is that we have 32 licensed childcare facilities in the Tahoe Truckee area. And so we talk about that and we're like, gosh, like that seems like a good amount of childcare facilities. But then when we start talking to our partners and realize how long the wait lists are and how many people can't get their kids into childcare, we realize that it's not enough. And then we look at other data and we realize that we're actually a childcare desert, which means that we don't have adequate housing. So it's really important to not only collect the data, but again, contextualize it and hear the stories behind the data. Am I leaving anything else around the data? Oh, my final thing is you will have a copy of this PowerPoint. And there are links to all the different reports in the PowerPoint. So what I'm sharing today is a fairly high level because of time. But if you want to really dive deeper into the data, please feel free to on your own time. Okay, so some quick context setting to talk about kind of who we are as a community and the community that we collect data from. Our impact area is defined by the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District boundaries, so it's a 720 square mile area. Although it's a fairly defined geographic area, as many of you know, it's really fraught with jurisdictional complexities. So we have 17 special districts, 3 counties, 1 town. Another part to that slide? Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is a map of Donner Creek Mobile Home that is taped to staff at Sierra Community House. I think it still is. And the Placer Nevada County line bisects Donner Creek Mobile Home. So if somebody from Donner Creek Mobile Home is coming to Sierra Community House and has a question or needs access to some kinds of services, one of the first questions that staff will ask is, if they live in Donner Creek Mobile Home, where do you live in the mobile home park so we can direct you most effectively to services? So for me, it's one of the best examples of the complexities of supporting our community and the nuances that we really have to take into account. To better understand who lives in our community, we look at population. So we know that we have about 32,000 full-time residents. There's been a steady increase over the past 20 years. You will note that there's been a slight decline in the number of our white residents, so it's the green bar. Are you able to use your? Yeah, no worries. I forgot my pointer, so Christina's going to try to use her mouse to indicate what I'm talking about. Our residents who identify as Hispanic or Latino has essentially stayed the same, but the most significant increase in our population demographics are our individuals who identify as other or mixed race. Our next slide is we also look at population by age to, again, help us better understand who lives here and to understand where we need to focus our efforts. And our most significant increase has been in individuals who are 65 and over. So there's been a 37% increase over the last 5 years. And so again, when we talk about more of our community aging in place, and we talk about what support services and what do we need to put in to place as a community, we really look at our age breakdown and focus quite a bit on this older or aging population. And Christina in our Mountain Housing Council hat can speak eloquently to the housing needs of older adults in the community if you have all have questions about that. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the data. Again, it's going to be a blitz of data because there's quite a bit to share. And we have organized the data into 3 different buckets. So I will first share our economic kind of vitality data that leads to a healthy community, then our health data, and then our education data. So we know that people's ability to live and work in a community is really an indicator of community health and economic success. And we know that Tahoe Truckee is an expensive place to live. So we know that our cost of living is 73% higher than the national average. Our housing costs are 3 times higher than the national average, and over half of our renters are house burdened, which means they're paying more than 30% on rent. And so we know that when people are house burdened, that they have less money to pay for things like healthcare or things for their kids to do or healthy foods. And so we really pay attention to how much it costs to live here and the impact it has on families. And one of the data points that we collected last year that was, I've been living here for almost 25 years, so it was just hard for me to see, is that almost 40% of our residents have considered leaving the area for economic reasons. And so I'm just going to I just wanted to share this with you, disaggregated, and I know it's a lot of data, but one of the things that we know is that depending on who you are, you have a different experience living in our community. And so we know that 60% of our adults who are aged 18 to 39 have considered leaving the area. 65% of our low-income folks have considered leaving the area, and 60% of our LGBTQIA folks, which stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual folks, have considered leaving the area. So again, different experiences for different folks living in our community. Thank you. I just had to get some call. So one of our takeaways from our economic data is that the ongoing and continuing need to focus on housing. I know many of you have seen the Mountain Housing Council housing bridge, but it really articulates our need to focus on housing across all income levels, from low income or no income to those at the higher end of the income spectrum who are making 240% of the area income. So again, just reiterates our continuing need as a community to focus on housing and ensuring that folks can afford to live here and able to participate in the community. Okay, so moving on to our health data. We look at health data across a number of different kind of indicators. We look at access, We also look at mental health, substance use and abuse, and then we look at health promoting factors as well. So again, thank you to our partners at the hospital and to the county for helping us collect data. So we are pleased to share that 93% of us have access to health insurance or have health insurance, which is encouraging to see. At the same time, only 33% of individuals who are socioeconomically disadvantaged or historically marginalized due to being unhoused, experiencing poverty, or are marginalized due to race and ethnicity have access to health insurance or who have health insurance. And within that, we know that there are a number of other barriers for folks accessing healthcare in the Tahoe Truckee area, including transportation, including language, and a couple of other factors. And I would just really commend our colleagues from the hospital to working to overcome those barriers. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the programs that are in place. And again, at the end, if you have questions about any of this data, please keep those in mind, and you'll have an opportunity to talk to our partners here. So again, access to healthcare is a primary indicator of community health. We're going to talk a little bit about mental health. The collaborative and our partners have been concerned about mental health for a long time. We know that oftentimes residents in rural mountain towns have higher rates of anxiety and depression than our counterparts in more urban areas, and we've definitely seen an impact in mental health since the pandemic. And so in our health data and in our education data, we've definitely seen some of the not I would say the fallout from the pandemic, but the impact on our local population. So we know that 47% of adults, so almost half of us, report 3 or more days a month when our mental health is not good. And that's been a significant increase since 2020. And again, we've talked a lot about the dynamics of the pandemic, of the isolation, of folks not wanting to leave their house, and again, something that we're keeping our eye on. 30% of us indicate that we're lonely, and we know that people's relationships and interactions with friends and families, coworkers, and other folks in the community can have a major impact on their health and well-being. So we do take a look at this and this indicator, and just knowing that a third of us have lacked companionship, have felt left out, and are felt isolated from others. This is kind of like the harder data, and then we'll talk about more positive things, I promise. So substance abuse, again, something we've talked about for a long time with partners in this room and other partners that we live in a party community. People come here for vacation, people like to drink, and we have seen that with our local population. So we know that 60% of us are negatively impacted by substance abuse, so whether it's our own or somebody else's. And I'm just going to kind of go quickly through the next few substance abuse indicators. We know that we like to drink. We have seen a steady increase in the number of us who are binge drinkers. So binge drinking is 4 or more drinks for women and 5 or more drinks for men. So again, slight but steady increase. We have also seen some increases in our substance misuse. So an increase in the number of individuals smoking cigarettes between 2017 and 2021, which is surprising to see. And again, I'm not here to necessarily guess on all the data points and the kind of the story behind the curve, but we've talked often about the impact of the pandemic on substance misuse, and again, the increases that we've seen. So again, a pretty significant increase in those of us who are smoking cigarettes. We know that 5% of us are vaping. And we've also seen a pretty significant increase in adults who use illegal drugs over the last year. So again, significant increases between 2017 and 2021. Okay, on the positive side, we know that there's a lot of things that we can do as individuals and as a community to promote health, and things that we can do, which we call stress busters, to really remedy toxic stress. So on a positive note, we know that 75% have social support, so somebody that we can turn to, which is, again, we look at that in context with the number of us who are feeling lonely, and it's just something to keep in mind. We know that 45% of us exercise regularly, which is pretty good. 14% of us sleep well, which I feel like we could do a little better as a community. And I'm sorry, Lizzie, for sharing this last data point, but we talk a lot about vegetables. Only 7.5% of us eat the daily recommended amount of vegetables. So again, things to note, perhaps improve within ourselves. And I will say, despite this data, and again, a lot of our partners have spent a lot of time focusing on kind of moving the needle on these data points. The hospital in particular has put a number of programs in place, really expanded behavioral health offerings to really kind of address some of these issues. There's a number of navigators in place now at the hospital and the county to help our residents navigate services, which can be very complex due to the jurisdictional challenges I mentioned earlier. And I think on a positive note, 81% of us indicated that we would now use telehealth, which has been a significant increase before the pandemic. And so we know that telehealth can help folks overcome barriers such as transportation, language. So again, encouraging to see. And then another note of encouragement is that there's been a number of kind of fentanyl awareness and substance misuse awareness campaigns. A lot of our partners, and I'm sure many of you, have been talking about the increase in fentanyl use and overdoses. So we really encourage all of you in this room, when you come across this public health campaign, it's a harm reduction campaign from Nevada County. It's called No Overdose, and it's really a fentanyl prevention campaign. If it comes across your social media, please share it, please boost it. I'm not even quite sure the social media words, but please help get it out there. Because there's some really good information coming out from our partners around drug prevention and misuse. And then, again, the foundation produced a behavioral health roadmap last year, which is kind of a pathway forward around how to address some of these key issues. So again, good work happening around all these areas, but we do feel like it's important to share the data with you. Okay, so our final kind of tranche of data is around education. So we look at education really along kind of the continuum of cradle to career. So we look at early care education, we look at education data points from our school district, and then from Sierra College. So I already shared this data with you earlier, but we have 32 licensed child care facilities, which basically equates to 44% of our kids ages 0 to 5 having access to child care. The impact of the pandemic on childcare has been significant. We've had a number of childcare facilities close. We've had a number of child care facilities that have incredibly long wait lists. And this is actually from our article that Jess Carr from Sierra Business Council submitted to Moonshine Inc. Thank you, Mayumi. So I'm just going to read this quote to you. So prior to COVID, we were able to admit children in just a few months, said Kristen Kuhn, owner and director of Discovery Preschool in Truckee. Now our wait list is 2 years long. This is incredibly difficult, as we are talking to families who are now faced with a difficult decision of choosing between work and childcare. In most cases, there are no other options available. So again, I think as a community, childcare is one of our most significant opportunities to focus on as a collective. We look at data that we call school readiness data, and this is a point-in-time data point. And at the beginning of this school year, 25% of kindergartners were scoring at or above benchmark on their school readiness. So school readiness means that kids are coming into our school district kind of ready to learn, have had some level of exposure to quality childcare, and again, walking into kindergarten ready to go. So we know that 25% of kids this year, at the beginning of the year, were only meeting that benchmark. And again, we talk a lot about the impact of the pandemic and kids not having access to early care and education over the last couple of years, or less access. So again, something our partners are working on. And I wanted to really highlight some of the work happening through our Tahoe Truckee Reads and our partners in this room who are really focusing on our youngest community members. And so Laura has been the fearless champion of Tahoe Truckee Reads with Excellence in Education. And our partners have put in place a program called K-Ready over the last couple of years, which is really focusing on a partnership between Sierra Community House and the school district, and promoters at Sierra Community House working with parents in the community to help them become teachers at home so that kids can come to school ready. So again, a lot of work happening, a lot of partnerships in place to help kind of move the needle on some of these data points. Okay, I'm going to move on to just a couple data points from the school district because Logan and Kirsten will be here shortly to talk a little bit more. But our public school district has 12 schools. We have about about 4,000 students, and about 30% of students qualify as socioeconomically disadvantaged. We look at just a couple data points. Since 2007, have been looking at third grade reading level scores because we know that third grade is a pivotal point in someone's education or a child's education, where kids go from learning to read to reading to learn. And studies show that oftentimes if students aren't proficient readers by third grade, they have a hard time catching up throughout their career as a student. So there's a lot of focus on ensuring that kids are proficient readers by 3rd grade. We have seen a slight decline in the number of kids who are proficient readers by 3rd grade. The yellow pencil is all of our students, and then the blue is socioeconomically disadvantaged. So a slight decline, and then it again bumped up in 2022. So a data point that we'll keep our eye on. And again, when we talk about the long-term impact of the pandemic, we talk about this for sure. On a positive note, a really positive note, there's a study called the California Healthy Kids Survey that goes out every couple of years, and a significant percentage of our 7th graders, 9th graders, and 11th graders in 2021 indicated that there's an increased level of support at the school, so kudos to our school partners. And on the flip side, we have also seen an increase in the number of students who report that they experience chronic sadness and hopelessness. So again, good support's in place, and at the same time, when we talk about impacts of pandemic and mental health, it's something that we're working on as a community. Okay, so a couple other data points from the school district. We know that 97% of our kids are graduating from TTUSD, 62% of students are completing the California State University or UC requirements, so ready to go on to a 4-year college, and that about a quarter of our students are completing at least one career technical education pathway, which are programs aligned around an industry theme, such as engineering, technology, sports medicine, or emergency response. Okay, so my final bucket of data I'm going to share is around Sierra College. So thank you, Dr. Bateman, for being with us today. And I just want to reiterate the importance of a community college in a community and how community colleges really contribute to community health. So, you know, as we all know, community colleges are often a more affordable option for students who are going to college. As a parent who has a graduating senior, like, it's a really appealing option to us for sure. It's often a gateway for students who aren't able to go to a 4-year college right away, but are can go to a community college and then go on to a 4-year college. Community colleges offer a tremendous amount of workforce development support through specific education around skills, and really also support lifelong learning. So for those of us who are interested in taking classes and want to continue our learning, community colleges are a phenomenal option. So a really important option when we talk about community health and wellness, and we're really fortunate to have a campus in a community of our size. So Sierra College has been at the current location since 2008. There is an 84% success rate, which is remarkable to share. And again, when we talk about issues or impacts of the pandemic, Sierra College has seen a significant decline in the number of students who are coming in person to classes. So since 2017, when there was approximately 534 students enrolled in campus, there's now about 236. And again, a lot of students have pivoted to hybrid learning, and so we've been having that conversation quite a bit. So, and it's difficult to track, and Kim Bateman, I'm looking at you to check for accuracy, the students who are from the Tahoe Truckee area who are participating in online learning. So again, a really important asset to us as a community, and when we look at the declining in-person enrollment numbers, this is something to keep in mind. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. I know that was a lot of information, and I know I talk fast. So I really am happy that our partners are here in this room. So in just a moment, I'm going to invite the school district up here, and then we'll hear from Sierra Community House. And then we'll have an opportunity for you all to ask questions of the folks on our panel, other folks in the room, to make sure, again, that we all walk away with a deeper understanding about what's happening with folks in our community. So I wanted to welcome Logan Maloney and Kirsten Kramer. So Logan is the principal at Truckee High School, soon to be the assistant superintendent, and Kirsten Kramer is the assistant superintendent, soon to be the superintendent. So thank you so much to you both for being here. And then Kim Bradley is also here. And then Kim Bradley, who is our wellness manager, who oversees all of our wellness programming. So thank you all.
If you can switch. Slides would be great. So I'm Kim Bradley. I'm the wellness manager for the school district. And I just wanted to do a slide that kind of gives you an overview. When we looked at the two slides that showed an increase in student school supports, and then we also saw a slide around mental health, and so we saw an increase of students that were feeling sad and hopeless. I just wanted to give you a picture of what we've been doing, especially since the pandemic. We've put a lot in place. So as Allison mentioned, our wellness program started in 2012. It started off as a very collaborative effort with many of our partners here in the room just coming into the schools, being there during lunch, talking to students. And since then, it's really grown. And now we have wellness centers in our high schools. During the pandemic, we opened wellness centers in our middle schools, and we're looking at next year launching wellness centers in our elementary schools. We just know the earlier that we can get to students and offer the supports and really create a culture of it's okay to ask for help. You're not alone, and that there's resources available. It's an access point for students. So some of our resources are, we also have social emotional learning. We do K through 12, teaching students social emotional skills, how to cope, self-regulate, just be in their bodies so that they can be in school and be in community with students and their school community. We also do a Caring Connections survey at each of our school sites. And this has been going on for, gosh, I don't know. Oh, wow. So Logan actually helped spearhead this in 2015, and we have it at all our school sites where we have all of our students identify which staff they have a caring connection with on campus. And then we look to see which students have a number of caring connections, which ones may be missing caring connections, and how we can build those caring connections so that we really are fostering those relationships and that students are really feeling like they have a place at school and they have someone to go to. And I think that has contributed to students feeling more connected and supported at school. But as the other slide shows, we are seeing an increase in mental health challenges, and that's across the board. We're seeing that across the country, and our students are being impacted, and so we've really had to increase our mental health supports. So in particular, over the last couple of years, we've offered more school-based therapy. We've been fortunate to receive some funding from the Community Foundation to support this effort, and we've also created school social workers that can be on campus and can meet with students. We offer more support groups. We really use the wellness centers and our coordinated care team of our administrators, our counselors, our school psychologists, our wellness staff to really create a comprehensive support kind of network for our students so that they can be supported in school, but then we can also refer them out to all of our amazing resources in our community so that we really are creating a hub of support. And so you'll see here in the blue, these are all our great partners. So we partner with Tahoe Forest Hospital, with the counties, with Sierra Community House. We do What's Up Wellness mental health checks. We also work really closely with Gateway Mountain Center. So we really are a collaborative effort. We couldn't do it alone, especially in a small community. We really rely on our community partnerships. But I just wanted to give you a highlight of all the great stuff that's happening in the schools, and we are continuing to build this and grow.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have so many parents in this room. Thank you for trusting me with your children, my students. It has been an absolute pleasure, and it has been an entire 10 years. So thank you again for everything and all the support. I want to talk a little bit at the ground level work that we're doing by naming students' names when it comes to data rather than just a large data point. We do use graduation rate, of course, as a data point. Specifically, the state uses A through G readiness. So in front of you, what you see is the A through G graduation requirements for students to be ready to be accepted into a UC or a CSU. We use this as a metric because we do have juniors who wake up mid-year and say, you know what? I do want to go to a 4-year. And so we keep that door open their entire 4-year plan. So just in case they're able to be ready. So how do we do that at the school? Thank you. So we have what's called a Truckee High watch list. We name every student by name and their grades. We track D and F lists, but we also track by subgroup. So this is our A through G tracker. You'll see on the left students' names that are redacted in green by A, B, C classes if they are ready, yellow if they need support or additional credits, and red if they haven't earned those credits or we need to enroll them at an earlier age in remediation to make sure they're on track for that 4 years. Since we have started the watch list during the pandemic and then added our A through G watch list, I want to share the data with you. So this is our class of 2023 by the beginning of the year to each term that we have closed. So we are at the end of term 3. We started this year with the class of 2023 at 54% ready, and we just closed term 3 at 74% of our students A through G ready. So by naming the student and knowing exactly what they need to meet to be ready to graduate on time, we have a better success rate. Similarly, you will see again on the left is our entire class of 2023. And now we're breaking it into subgroups for the class of 2023. And this really speaks to the data that Allison shared at the beginning. Our students with disabilities did increase, obviously at a lower rate. Our socioeconomic disadvantage, again, increased since the beginning of the year, but only 54% of our SED population for the class of 2023 is ready, A through G. And then you'll see our 8 English learners in the class of 2023. And again, with access to rigorous courses and the readiness to be in a UC-CSU, this is our work. And we are lucky enough to be able to name these 8 students and support them. So this is where we are focusing in as we continue to focus on all of our students.
And thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit of the story of the great work that's happening in the schools about the data. And just so you know, the district is very proud and thankful for all the support we received during the pandemic. There was a lot of worry about pandemic slides for the student, just that we would see a huge drop in the test scores, but we didn't see that in Tahoe Truckee. They went down, but our gap didn't widen for our socially economically disadvantaged students. So we're grateful for all the support. You got us through it, and as you can see, things are looking up. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Logan. Thanks, Kirsten. And again, thank you for your great work, and we look forward to working with you next in your new roles. Okay, next I would like to welcome Teresa Crimmins, who's the Deputy Executive Director of Sierra Community House, who's going to talk a little bit about the work they're doing to impact some of these data points and some of the stories of what they're seeing on the ground. So thanks for being with us.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Allison.
You're welcome.
It's so nice to follow you on your last day. Okay, so I'm Teresa Crimmins. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for Sierra Community House, and you can, there's some of our team sporting their green ribbons for Mental Health Awareness Week. I like the green cutlery and plates, that's helpful. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so Sierra Community House is the result of the merger of 4 nonprofit organizations. Former Project Mana became the Sierra Community House Hunger Relief Program. The 2 family resource centers became the Sierra Community House Family Strengthening, Community Engagement, and Legal Aid Programs, and the former Tahoe Safe Alliance became the Sierra Community House Violence Prevention and Education, Crisis Intervention, and Residential Programs, which provide wraparound support to survivors of domestic and sexual violence. You can go to the next slide. Thanks. And we continue to serve the entire region with 1 office in Incline, 1 in Kings Beach, 2 offices, and a food warehouse here in Truckee. And so the first set of data that I want to share with you is around our hunger relief program. I forget that there's one over there too. That's nifty. So our hunger relief programs provides 4 weekly food distributions throughout the region. We provide home delivery of grocery bags to people's doorsteps, and we distribute emergency food boxes in conjunction with our partners, many of whom are here. Thank you. And so during COVID, it was kind of just a scrum, and we were just getting food out as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And so earlier this year, we had the capacity to really do a little bit of a deeper dive and look at who are we serving, who is food insecure in our community and needing supplemental food. And so as you can see here, we're roughly evenly split between primary language as Spanish and English. The majority of folks definitely reside in Truckee, with other pockets in Kings Beach, Incline, Tahoe Vista, Carnelian Bay, West Shore, Tahoe City, and a small percentage who are either unsheltered or just we don't know their address. Average household size, about 3.4, and we're currently serving between 300 and 400 families each week. So doing the math there, we're looking at approximately 1,000, a little bit more individuals that are receiving supplemental food each week. The average age is 48 of the person responding to the survey, doing the intake with us, and 82% of households have at least one minor as part of their household, and I think it's 27% have a senior as part of their household. And so this data is what I just really wanted to kind of, these last 2 points for me are what's really important to looking at how are we leveraging this weekly touch point with some of our most vulnerable community members. And both Sierra Community House and partners have really used this as an opportunity to outreach and to offer programming and to really tailor services to these community members. So that has included things like CalFresh, formerly known as food stamps, health screenings and wellness programs through partnership with the hospital and the counties, and offering for those folks who are receiving food to also give us their feedback on housing. It's not going to be a surprise to you that I'm also going to talk about housing. So I'm sorry, this won't fit anywhere, so I'm going to put it on the ground. Shallow shelves. Okay, so across Sierra Community House programs, we primarily serve low-wage workers who are working in the housekeeping, hospitality, construction, and food service industries. The folks we serve are really the foundation of our economy, but you're not going to be surprised to know that they are finding it increasingly difficult to live here. So I know we talk about housing a lot, and what I'm going to share with you as far as data is through the lens of Sierra Community House and the services that we provide to that segment of the population that I just was describing, sort of our lowest income community members. So for the general population, for the general workforce, we provide advocacy, sorry, I'm going out of order, rent and utility assistance, which is direct payments to landlords or utility companies. Advocacy and case management, that's kind of the support to figure out, okay, what else needs to be in place in this family so that the economics work, so they're not overly house burdened. And then finally, mediation and legal assistance, which is when community members get a notice from their landlord and they come to us and they say, what do I do with this? And so Jan, for many years, helped us with that. And we have a team of legal advocates who help community members to negotiate with their landlords and at all costs avoid getting an eviction on their record, which is going to then prevent them from having successful housing in the future. Next slide. And then for survivors of domestic and sexual violence, we have sort of more robust offerings for the segment of the population because of the really traumatic and sort of impactful shifts that can happen in these moments. And that includes emergency motel stays. We have a safe house that is a 90-day program. We just recently received a rapid rehousing grant, which is going to be able to provide up to 6 months of rental support for community members who fit this criteria. And then transitional housing, which is up to 2 years of rental assistance with really intensive supports. And so I just told you about the different ways that we sort of get money out into the community to help people with their rent and their utilities. And so the graph that I'm showing you here is what that sort of outlay has looked like over the last 3 years. And it's a little bit tricky, so I'm going to walk you through it because it's not a straightforward thing to look at. But if you look at that first peak in April, June, thanks, Christina. The first peak represents COVID. It represents both a huge increase in need and a huge increase in supports. So many individual donors, grants for both at the federal and state level, local community foundation, really put money towards the fact that we knew people needed to make their rent and they weren't able to because they weren't working. And so that's what that huge peak is there. and sorry, I should have backed up, the kind of lower level before that is kind of what represented our, the July through December of 2019 represented kind of the steady state that we had been at for the last 3 years or so. There were some folks that needed help for sure, but that was kind of the level that we were at. COVID happened, we had the huge spike. You see a huge decline in April of 21. That is not because there was a decrease in need, it's because Sierra Community House helped community members to avail themselves of state and local programs to help with their rent, conserving the dollars that we had locally for the future, which we knew was not going to be not needing help with rent. And sure enough, as you see there in January 22 and kind of continuing through 2022, we saw the need for rental assistance and utility assistance kind of maintain at a much higher level than it had been back in 2019. So as I look at this, as somebody part of the team that manages these programs, I just start to think, oh boy, in order to support folks who are becoming increasingly house burdened and therefore, any sort of small issue, healthcare issue, car maintenance issue that comes up can really cause you to be almost in default of your rent. And so we're going to need that to be able to sustain at a higher level. And so now you can go to that next slide. So this is not, my intention is not for you to digest this slide at all. Hopefully you've seen it in other forums through the Mountain Housing Council, Tahoe Truckee Workforce Housing Agency, North Tahoe Community Alliance. But what I just wanted to say here is how excited we are to be kind of part of this ecosystem. The ecosystem is growing in our community of what supports and efforts are happening around housing, and we're just really excited to be over kind of on that workforce side of things to help specifically renters and community members that are at the low income side to sustain their housing, because retaining housing stock is a really key way of keeping housing stock affordable for community members that are here in our community. I think that's it for me. Am I handing it off, or are you?
Thank you, Teresa. Great job. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the work you do. Okay, so I think we're going to pause here before we turn it over to Ann to talk about the co-ed, so that you all have an opportunity to ask any questions. So if you have questions about any of the education data we reviewed, health data, economic data, and again, we have all of our partners in the room, so thank you, hospital colleagues, for being here, Sierra College, Excellence in Education. So we're all here to answer questions. So any questions folks have? Yes.
You showed a slide that was showing 39% of people were thinking about leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any data, or do you know how to get data that would tell us how many people have been here less than 2 years or less than 5 years?
Who are considering leaving?
No.
Just in general?
Just absolutely. How many have been here less than 5 years? What proportion of our population?
I think we can disaggregate some of the data from the survey we did last year around community health and wellness based on how long folks have lived here, but I would have to get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Just want to get as far as how long people have lived here. Yeah. Yes.
Teresa, question for you.
Yes,
the graph that showed the increased number of dollars spent from 2019 to 2022, is that averaged out, or does that take into account the same level of people that are seeking services, or does that reflect that you have more people that are calling upon you than you did in 2019?
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah, more people for sure. Yeah, most of those are, aside from the sort of those who've experienced violence, which I showed, have kind of multiple months of rent. The vast majority of the rest are 1, maybe 2 months of rent. So it's kind of a one-time assistance. So it's the number that has gone up.
Yes.
Following up on a conversation I had recently had with Peter Mayfield, and he spoke at a town council meeting about a week ago about the youth mental health crisis, and that what was surprising to him, and I don't know which data he's referring to, but that our data for youth mental health in our area is actually worse than the national average. And I know that we've been nationally, or certainly in the Western Hemisphere, we're having youth mental health crisis. But is that true that I mean, do you have any more information about that related to national statistics?
Kim, do you want to speak to that, or?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay. So international, we can look into that.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was quite. It's easy sometimes to say, oh well, it's just it's the state of the world right now. But according to that conversation I had, it seemed like it was a bigger that there was some systemic issues, and his theory is that here we have such a huge disparity in wealth, so a lot of well-being statistics, this sense of well-being is often how you're doing compared to your peers. And so if you've got this large disparity in income, it actually exacerbates youth mental health.
And historically, we've had higher rates of mental health issues than our counterparts in more urban areas, and that's been true across our youth and adult data. And we've spent many hours over the years talking about that as well. And one of the conversations that we've had is that rural communities tend to be under-resourced, so we have fewer programs, fewer resources to support kind of fundamental programs, which is again why many of the partners in this room, including the hospital school district, have really worked to provide additional services to kind of remedy that gap in services.
And I will say, when we first started the wellness program, our numbers of students that had suicidal ideation or were feeling sad and hopeless through our California Healthy Kids survey were much higher than Placer County and the state. And so that was one of the reasons that we knew we needed to put more supports in place. So that has historically been the case, and we certainly look to see nationally.
Yes.
I kind of have a two-part question, but I'm really thankful that we have a lot of therapy happening more in our high schools, and that we need that for sure. I'm actually thinking about also the parents. If we can help with the parents, and that would filter down into our students and for other adults. Just listening to the data, like half of us in here are mentally unhealthy, and 85% of us are not sleeping well. So what are we doing to, what major things are we doing to help us out in our town, and what do we need to do? What are some bigger things that we need to be doing to make an impact?
That's a really good question. I'm glad we're surrounded by so many partners who are doing this work to help me answer the question. But I would say what comes to mind for me is that when we talk about how do we support the mental health of our community, we often talk about kind of mental health along the continuum. And at the most basic fundamental level, it's, what natural supports do we have in place as individuals? How do we ensure that we help support those and kind of build those up? And so honestly, it's like checking on our neighbors, checking on our coworkers, checking on our friends, because the reality is that mental health services across the country is there are not enough formalized mental health services to meet the entire needs of the community. So we really look at mental health needs along the continuum. So again, less formal supports at a community level. Some of the organizations here have kind of peer support services. So again, more formalized services, but not licensed therapists and licensed clinicians. And then the colleagues at your table through the hospital, through, again, we've already talked about the school district and some other partners, really bolstering clinical licensed services at an institutional and an organizational level. So Lizzie Hennessy behind you has been working on creating a directory that's on the hospital website of licensed therapists. So again, from like a service perspective, like that's what I can offer around that continuum. And I would open it up to any other folks in the room who are doing this work around how to best support the mental health and well-being of the community if anyone else wants to chime in. Yes, Lizzie?
So as you have seen, the hospital does a triennial community health needs assessment, and there's an executive summary in the back table. It's short, 4 pages, but if you'd like to read the full report, you can check out the links Allison's going to share later. But we take the findings of that needs assessment, we identify priority areas, and then we develop a robust community health improvement plan. So the 5 priority areas within mental behavioral health, some of our goals are to increase access to mental behavioral health services, expand suicide prevention and crisis response activities, and increase awareness of resiliency supports to address the increasing prevalence of depression, anxiety, and poor mental health. And those are the high-level goals. Within those are really concrete action steps. If you'd like to read the full community health improvement plan, it is on our website with more details. We do all this in collaboration with all the partners that have been referenced today.
I would add too, like as a school district, we're seeing that need. So we're doing all the supports with the student, but then there's so much that's needed at the family system and with the parents, and everyone's been struggling. It's been a really hard few years. And so we've been trying to put more outreach and education around parent nights, getting resources out through our bulletins and our newsletters. We also are having a focus on our community engagement strategies and how to really pull in some more of our marginalized families, because sometimes we have parent nights and it's the parents that are already pretty involved that come, and how do we really pull in all of our parents, especially those that need the resources the most, and then partnering with our community partners like the hospital and the Sierra Community House, where they have a lot of resources too, so that we really are creating this continuum of we can access some of the families through the schools and then get them connected out to those resources.
I have a follow-up question. So what would you think what are the biggest things that we could do? Like if someone could partner with you guys, the school district, if you had unlimited resources, what would you want to see? What would you want to do?
Well, I have a lot of ideas. We're trying to build it out a little bit. And so what we're looking at is the balance between the therapists and then also social workers, because the social workers are able to work with the whole family system. So we're trying to figure out what the balance is for that. And so probably, our dream would be to have social workers at each site that then could work with community partners to make sure the family, if they're in crisis or have long-term needs, are getting the support they need. But social workers are great for that. So we're with Kim and Dr. Cohen, they're looking at this and looking at our funding to figure out what the right balance is. And we work a lot with the hospital and partner to really wrap around the family with county services too, and behavioral and health.
And I'm gonna have to actually go ahead and cut us off.
Yep.
No, you guys. It's and again, I'm excited that there's conversation. I'm excited that there's questions, and I really continue folks to, if you have a few minutes to stay after, to follow up on any questions. And again, the goal of sharing this information is that we have a collective, deeper understanding of what's happening in our community. Start asking questions and get involved. So thank you so much. So I do want to make sure we have time to hear from Ann Rarick. So Ann is with Connecting Point. She is the director of our recently formed Community Organizations Active in Disaster. And as we are approaching wildfire season, we really wanted to make sure that you all had an opportunity to hear about this superstar collaborative effort. So Ann's going to bring us home. So it's a little bit of a shifting gears.
Yes, hi. And I know we talked about different disaster services and emergency services last Good Morning Truckee. I was out in a training, so thanks for letting me share today. So get to end on the disaster stuff. But we wanted to share because this effort really was spearheaded by the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation, Placer, Nevada County, and the town of Truckee. Recognizing we are a multi-jurisdictional community, as those county lines run through our neighborhoods, that's really instrumental and plays into our dynamics when we're talking about disaster. So a COAD stands for Community Organizations Active in Disaster. This is a national model. There's COADs all throughout California. A lot of my work in the last few months has been networking with our other COADs to make connections, learn our lessons, recognizing that disaster can happen to any community, and how can we learn from our partners and our other COADs throughout the state. So some events that we really are looking at to responding are, our most recent winter storms, threats of wildfire, power shutoffs that might come down this summer. So this just gives a little bit more information about a COAD, and we recognize that we need to work within the whole community to ensure that needs are met, especially amongst our most vulnerable. So this program is under Connecting Point, which also runs the local 211 for Placer, Nevada County. So that's a resource and information referral line. They're open 24/7 for call agents you can call, you can text, and we help community members get access to any kinds of resources. But specifically during disaster, we can activate and kind of run as our non-emergency line. So folks maybe living in Tahoe Donner or Truckee Donner Mobile Home Park can call and say, hey, what zone am I in? Am I evacuated? And our call agents can help people kind of navigate those non-emergency needs that might come up during disaster. So we really are thankful to Connecting Point for allowing the COAD to kind of fall under that agency. But mostly just wanted to share some examples that we have, the ways that the COAD has been activated during the last few months. So we were really active during the 2022-2023 winter storms, where thankfully our community didn't see as many impacts as other communities throughout the state, but we were really, we were activated. So we provide preparedness materials to families through Sierra Community House, what to do in a shelter-in-place event, make sure you have enough food, things like that. And we try to make sure that materials are culturally relevant, in the correct language, and easy to follow and understand. We also piloted a sandbag assistance program with our Truckee CERT team. So we were out there a couple days just helping people fill up sandbags, giving out coffee, just kind of being there to run the town sandbag assistance program. So our goal is to really plug into services and resources that are already existent, and then kind of expand those and enhance them. So sometimes people show up at the sandbags, don't really know what to do, and we had volunteers that are kind of explaining to folks where to put the sandbags, things like that. We were also able to respond to the avalanche that occurred in Olympic Valley, navigate some of the families who had been evacuated, get them connected to Red Cross programs, things like that. Stayed in really close communication with our Office of Emergency Services and our county partners, and then was able to amplify that, vetted information out to our partners and to our co-ed agencies to ensure, we're watching, we're waiting, we haven't seen much yet, but we are kind of ready to respond as needed. Also provided a lot of support for the Emergency Warming Center. That was open a lot this year. And just making sure we're sharing our winter resources page through the 211 website. And we will be having a really robust both wildfire events and PSPS power shutoff events through 211. We can amplify that to the community. Other examples of ways that the co-ed's been involved is we can provide mutual aid to other communities. So last fall, Loyalton and Sierra County had a water main burst. They had no water for the schools and the long-term care centers. So the co-ed was called upon to try to find some bottled water for the community. So we were able to work with the local Truckee grocery outlet, get a couple deliveries of free bottled water to the community. So that's just one example of the way the co-ed can fit in during a disaster event. And then again, we're really working on that preparedness for fire events. So we're promoting 211 throughout the community, working with Sierra Community House and some of our community partners to make sure that people know what to do in a fire, things like that. So ways to engage. We do have a newsletter that goes out. If you want to sign up, you can find me after. And we have quarterly agency meetings where we're really trying to build our organizational readiness and resiliency within our organizations to be able to respond and then continue providing those services. And that's my information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are over time. I'm walking away. So thank you all so much for being here. If you have questions for the partners in the room, thank you partners for being here. This is actually my last day with the Community Foundation. Yes, so I really have appreciated the opportunity to work with you all, and will continue to work with you all in different ways. So thank you all so much, and so sorry for being over.
Give Allison a big round of applause for all the work she's done. And thanks to Kirsten, Logan, Kim, Teresa, and Ann for being the presenters this morning, and to all of you for making really this community a healthy one that apparently doesn't get any sleep. But we're working on it. That's right, vegetables.
It's the vegetables.
All right, so we're going to go around and do stump speeches as we always do. So does anybody have anything they would like to announce? Yes.
Truckee Optimist Club presents the Brewfest August 5th. I usually put a little flyer on your table, forgot the flyer because I didn't get enough sleep. So just mark your calendar. August 5th is the Brewfest Regional Park. By all means, if you want to be a sponsor, let me know. Thank you.
Right. You, yes.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
So behind me. I'm Heather Schwartz. I am the program manager with SOS Outreach. To really quickly summarize what we do, we're basically a youth development program. We work with youth from historically underserved communities in our regions. We kind of cover the Resort Triangle, work with a lot of kids in the school district right here, 240 kids over this last year. And we do outdoor-based mentoring using activities like skiing and snowboarding as the hook in the vehicle to engage kids in a life skills and leadership skills curriculum, as well as getting involved in the community. And we have a lot of adult volunteers in the community that make all of this possible, who want to volunteer as mentors during our main season, which runs for roughly equivalent to this, to like the ski season in the school year. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, or you know somebody who would be a good fit, please come talk to me. I can give you a lot more details, or if you would like to support the program another way, please feel free to come by and talk.
Thank you. Jan.
Yeah, Jan Holland, Lyft Workspace. We now have 2 locations, although we'll be winding down the location over at Business Park. We've moved into 11,000 square foot space over where Clear Capital used to be at the airport. I'm just inviting anybody that has an interest in working in a collaborative environment. We have a lot of meeting spaces there. You can, Chamber of Commerce members or really anybody can come and try it out for free for a day. But I'm also reaching out to the many nonprofit partners here that we have a lot of meeting space, convening space. We have an event location. We've done a lot of contributions, a lot of in-kind donations to like our friends at the library. So I'm definitely open to that. We're really trying to create a community building space. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Amber with the school district, and we are excited at tomorrow's board meeting. Our Board of Trustees will be reviewing a first draft of our strategic plan. It's something we've been working on for the whole year, and we just had our final meeting with over a 35-person task force that has been diligently working on this throughout the year. So we're going to be presenting the first draft of the strategic plan at tomorrow night's meeting, so we invite anyone to come and hear information about that. Then we're going to open up a quick survey to get one last round of feedback. It'll be our 3rd survey of the year. And then our hope is to adopt this strategic plan in the next couple of weeks, so that will then give us a framework for moving forward on how we can better target what we're doing.
Thank you. Yes.
I wanted to announce your opportunity to see some dirty movies. It's a collaboration between Moonshine Inc., the Art House, and the Tahoe Food Hub. The movies are all about our food and land. They're thought-provoking films about this important topic. There will be guest speakers for each event. The first one is this Thursday. If you would like to check it out in Moonshine Inc., we're in the latest edition. You get tickets at TahoeFoodHub.org. But also, think about a lot of the solutions to our challenges is in the dirt beneath our feet, including social justice, climate change, and indigenous rights.
Thank you.
So Amber gave me a good segue. I'm with the Mountain Housing Council, and we are conducting a community housing survey. If you haven't already taken it and want to see your phones up, please turn on your camera and aim it at one of those QR codes. We are doing an employee-resident survey and then also surveying employers. So if you're an employer, please take both, one for your business and then one for your household. And this data is really important for informing all of our partners on policies and programs. So we need more results, more survey respondents. And I'm gonna leave that up there.
All right. Yes.
My name is Nancy Settle. I'm with Sierra Community House as well. My program is called Close to Home, and we are working on education and prevention of domestic violence and sexual assault. We have an adult meeting next Monday. See me if you'd like to be interested, because we have a lot of brainstorming ideas and creative solutions for helping to prevent that. So just come and talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right.
Hi, I'm Maria Martin with Tahoe Forest Health System, and I just wanted to point out some of the resources that the health system has for taking care of yourself, your baby, or getting extra sleep or exercise. And if you go to the health system website and go to health and wellness events, it lists all of our current activities. And a couple I just wanted to highlight was that in June we're doing an interesting experience called forest bathing. So it's a stress reduction, kind of a meditative experience. It's out at the Donner Party Picnic area off Highway 89. It's a free event, and it's on June 22nd. And we also have another free talk in June, on June 8th, about preventing summer overuse injuries. So while you're out there getting exercise, you want to do it safely.
Overlap with everything, right? Okay, I have one, which is there is a chamber mixer tomorrow. That is Wednesday at the Gravity House from 5 to 7. It's always free for chamber members and $10 for future members. We don't have any more stump speeches, and I'm going to go to the door prize. Finally got it right. Not going to get sued. All right. What do we have? What do we have? Oh, there they are. Okay, we have a Truckee hat, which is going to go to 458-4934. 458-4934. Excellent. Next is a sustainable gift card from Visit Truckee Tahoe, and that will go to 458-4927. All right. And finally, last but not least, a return ticket to Good Morning Truckee and a coffee mug. 458-4907. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming to Good Morning Truckee. We really appreciate it. Great attendance, great presentations, and hopefully we'll see you all next month. Enjoy your day and good morning.
Jamie.